Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how to cut and assemble my layered Statue of Liberty design. This was created for your 4th of July craft projects, but of course it could work for any patriotic design that you're making. Let's see how to make it. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the files, open up Design Space and start a new project. Press Upload in the left menu and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or you can drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder and then the file to upload is the one which starts SVG in the file name. The other ones won't work in Cricut Design Space, so make sure if you are using the Cricut, you choose the file which starts SVG. So I'll click and drag that in, and then it should look like this once it's loaded with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you can see the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, press Cancel down on the bottom right and try again and make sure you upload the one which starts SVG. Press Upload and then the file will appear in your recent uploads. So you can click it to get a green border around the edge and then press Add to Canvas. You can see all of the layers down this list on the right hand side. This is ready to cut as is, but you might want to resize it so that it will fit in the shadow box or on the greetings card or wherever it is that you're planning on displaying it. To resize it, make sure that the padlock icon above the width and the height box is closed. If it's open, then simply click it to close it. And that means when you resize it, the width and the height will change in proportion. For example, if I change the height to 7.5 inches and press enter on my keyboard, you see the width changed as well, so everything stays looking in proportion exactly as it should. I will actually make this a little bit bigger. I think I'll go 7.75 inches tall. When you're happy with the sizing, press Make It on the top right, and then this will split everything out into the different colours. If you want to, you can change the paper size in the drop down on the left, and you do need to do this for every single colour, so if you are changing it, just make sure that you don't miss any. You can also move things about on the paper by clicking and dragging, and this can be a nice way to use up more of the space than Design Space does automatically, so that you use up less of your craft materials. Let's just change this to A4. And you see now, this has actually split this onto 2 sheets because of the amount of pieces. I'm wondering if I might be able to fit it onto one. So let's give it a go. First, I'll move all of those around and then go down to my second sheet, press the 3 little dots and move object, and then choose the other mat that's the same color and confirm. By default, this is not going to fit. You see it's overlapping that other piece. But if you rotate it, that is then going to fit beautifully in that space, which means now we're only going to need 1 sheet of this card, not the 2 sheets that Design Space actually thought we needed. You'll still see in the list an empty piece of paper, but don't worry, once you click Continue to go to the next step, the empty bit will disappear, so you don't actually need to cut it. When you've got all your mats looking exactly how you want them to, press Continue, and then it will connect to your Cricut machine and you can follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out with your Cricut. Here are my layers all cut out, and I've just gently laid them one on top of the other to make sure I'm happy with all the colours and that I've got everything before I start sticking it together. Now this design, it is a little bit tricky to try and find the right colours, but I will share the links to where I got the card that I used and also my favourite card websites in the post for this video. So if you check the description and view the full tutorial, then I'll add some extra information on the cardstock in there. Now you might be wondering why it's got so many layers that are the same colour, but they're all going to really pop out once we start adding the foam squares in, and it's going to give it a really nice depth to the design. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way upwards, as with all my layered designs. So I'm just going to move some of these layers out of the way, and I'm actually just separating them out into each of their little pairs. So all of these layers of the greeny colours kind of come with a solid layer and then a detailed layer on top. And I'm just putting them out on my craft table in order so that I know how I'm going to stick them. Included in your download folder there is an assembly guide PDF, so you can use that to see the order in which to stick all of the layers too. Alright, so I'm going to start with making the flag for the background, and this is all going to be glued. And the glue I use is called Kalal. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do. And then I put it in these tiny needle tip applicator bottles, which I get on Amazon. And these have got these little ditty nozzles on them, which means it's really easy to get the glue into all of the pieces of cardstock. Other great brands of glue are Art Glitter Glue and Barely Art Glue. Alright, so I'm going to turn this upside down, and I've just got myself all confused now which way around it's supposed to go. Okay, there we go. If you're ever confused if you've got it the right way at some point, just double check. It's always better to check before you stick it than work out it's wrong after you've stuck it. So I've turned this upside down. I'm going to add my glue to the back and just go all the way around the outside, and then I'm going to put some in the middle too, because this is going to have all of those other layers stuck on top of it, so we need to make sure it's not going to come away from the base. And for this it's going to be easiest to line it up against the flame. So let's just get that flame lined up, and then the rest of the circle will sort of fall into place like that. The next layer is the blue section of the flag, and again I'm going to glue this one. So let's add the glue exactly the same as we just did. And this is why I love these needle tip bottles, because it's so quick to just get the glue out, and you don't need to worry too much about being neat, because the nozzle is so thin that it just makes things neat automatically. Alright, so again this all lines up against those flames. There we go. Oh, I've nudged it a little bit. The nice thing about glue is you do have that wiggle room if you need to move things about. The next layers are these two, which make up the flame. And I'm going to use foam pads for these so that it raises it up a little bit from the flag. So turn it upside down. Then here are my foam squares. These are from a brand called Dot & Dab, but any foam squares will work. And if yours are really big, then you just might need to cut them smaller with a pair of scissors to get them to fit, especially when we start moving on to some of the smaller layers later on. You want to make sure that as well as putting your foam squares around the edge, you also put some in the middle of the bits of cardstock, especially on larger bits of cardstock, and that is to stop it sagging in the middle. So if there are any foam pads around the edge of this and none in the middle, then you'd probably find that it would dome downwards in that middle under the weight of not only itself, but also the weight of the other layers of cardstock when they were stuck on top. And although, you know, it's not gonna completely destroy your project, it won't look as good. So I definitely recommend putting some extra foam squares in the middle. And now I'm just gently laying this on, and I've dropped it slightly So the reason I've just gently placed it on would be if I needed to, I could pick it up and take it off and reposition it without damaging anything. But actually I'm happy with that, so I'm going to push it down to get all of those foam pads stuck. And then next I've got the top of my flame. And this is going to be a glue layer. I'm going to get my glue into these bits, these triangles, to make sure that they're stuck really well. And then this lines up, goes on top. It's only really showing just that little bit of the flame through. There we go. Okay, next we're moving on to the first layer of the statue, and these ones are both glue layers. And the reason for that is that otherwise it would just get a little bit too thick because there's still so much left to come. So we're going to glue these ones. And I do like it when you get a few glue layers in a row, as it's much quicker than adding all of those foam pads. So we can whiz through this. There's that one. And then the next one is going to be adding all of the face details. So again, we're gluing it. Make sure with your glue you don't go over any of the edges, but you do want to try and get some into the parts in the head if possible. Not everywhere, but just enough that it's going to have a good stick and it's not going to kind of tear if you accidentally catch it, especially if this is going on a greetings card or something that's going to be maybe unwrapped if it's not covered by glass in a frame. So we just need to make sure it's going to be secure. All right. I'm not pushing down too hard as I don't want the glue to smush out of the edges and be visible. And this is already looking pretty awesome, but we've still got a whole ton of layers left. And the next ones are the torch details and the arm. So as with all of these, we have a solid layer and a detail layer, and the solid layer now is going to be done with the foam. For all of the remaining pairs of layer, the solid will be foamed and then the detail layer will be glued. And this is really going to make it look like we're looking up at the statue and seeing all of the wonderful details in it. So I've peeled those tops off. This can now be lined up, and again gently drop down and then pushed when you're happy. And then we're onto the glue for the torch piece. So whiz it around the big bits first, and then I'm just going to get some of these. This does get a little bit narrow in places, so if you're cutting it small, you just need to be really careful you don't tear that card when you're working with it. Right, there we go, on to the next one. And that's these pieces, which are going to make up the main details in the body. And this goes on there. And then we've got the glue to go on top. Put that one there. Okay. And then the last layers, I'm going to add the hand over there. And I've noticed I've actually got a little mistake in this file at the moment. These little spaces should be filled in because they're going to be covered up anyway, so I will make that tweak to the file before you download it. That's why I make sure I test all of my layered designs, even though I am sort of testing it on the go by doing the video at the same time. But all my layered designs, either the free ones on my blog or the paid ones in my shop, they all get tested and stuck together from real cardstock, just because that's the only way you really notice things like that need to be tweaked. So I find it really important. And there we go, that is the last layer added on. And she is looking beautiful. If I tilt it, you can see just how much depth there is down that bottom. And this is going to look absolutely beautiful in a shadow box frame, or even just stuck straight up on the wall for your 4th of July celebrations. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make my layered Statue of Liberty cutting file. Don't forget the free SVG is linked in the description below this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, as that really helps my channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time for some more Cricut crafting. Bye!